My name is Ian and welcome to Planted. In this video we're going to take a look at the beautiful annual perennial border behind me that I started earlier this year. Here we are in late July, early August, and it's at its absolute peak. It's a mixed border with perennials and annuals. Some plants I grew from seed, some from cuttings, and some from relocated plants. And I got permission from the town to turn the grass over and then plant this with this mix of plants. So in this video we're going to talk about what I did, why I did it, and I'm going to give you the results of what I think is a rather special flowering mix that anybody can do. You can do this at home in your own yard. Let's go. So this is the planting. It was previously a grass strip. I don't own the land, it's not my property. As I said earlier, I have permission to plant this up. And there was nothing here. And what you see is 3 months of growth of a really nice selection of plants. I should point out that the color palette is somewhat muted. There's no red and there's no orange, and that's by design. But let me show you step by step what I did. Don't start this project in April. I went right back to midwinter and did a site survey looking at grade. Does it drain? Does it waterlog? Does it cause erosion? With that information in mind, I'm able to use my Berta swivel plow, and I realize that not everybody has this. I would encourage you not to use a tiller as they shatter the soil. If you can use a mini excavator, that would be fantastic. Of course, you could go old school and dig it over by hand. But what you want to do is not cause compaction. A little bit of grading to further enhance the way that water can be absorbed into this garden. And here we have turned over soil, uncompacted at the right grade. Now, where I live, we have a recycling center, and they have this wonderful decomposed leaf matter. And this does a number of things. It reintroduces valuable bugs and bacteria. It introduces organic matter, which helps the soil profile store water, oxygen, and nutrients. And because it's black, it also heats up when sunlight hits it. Now, I do add fertilizer on a number of occasions as I do this project, and all you need are 2 pots staggered with a piece of paper in between them, and you can carefully sprinkle fertilizer over a large area. This got gently turned in. I'm not digging, I'm just turning the organic matter and the fertilizer into the top few inches. And then adding a layer of leaves is the elixir of life. This is wonderful to increase worm activity. I'm lucky enough to have a greenhouse, and I do realize that not everybody has a greenhouse. But if you can start your plants on windowsills, start them in the basement, get them going, it's amazing how you can very effectively grow plants for a project like this ahead of time, saving you a lot of money rather than having to buy them all new. Some I grew from seed, some I grew from cuttings, and some are from plant divisions. So there's a wide range of sources for plants for your project that really will give you a lot of diversity. Now let's just talk about design. My area is not 200 square feet, it is actually 250. This is why it pays to take a tape measure to your project. And what I want to do is drift planting. So it's very important to me that rather than having random individual plants, I have an area, and then in that area I plant a large number of that one plant. So we might have an area that is 6 feet long and 2 feet wide, and then within that I will put individual plants. And this is important because you want those plants to grow together as one and overlap each other and give you a nice drift. When you explain it like this, it makes perfect sense. So don't cut this corner, draw up a little map, start to get some degree of scale. Is my border going to be 10 feet long and 3 feet wide, or 40 feet long and 2 feet wide? Whatever it is, draw it up. It will help clarify in your mind what you're trying to achieve. The alternative is that rather than doing cloud, you go and put a bunch of plants in at a 3-foot spacing, probably all perennials, and you don't need very many because they're on a very wide spacing, but you will not get that drift or that cloud. Here we've got approximately 45 plants at wide spacings. It is not going to give you the look that you want. I encourage all of you to do this. I've had this trenching spade for a long time. I rarely use it, but by cutting it down, I've now got the perfect planting spade. It's not heavy and wieldy. I can put a little bit of a sharp edge on it, and all I want to do is dig down maybe 6 inches for the majority of these plants. This is the tool to do it. Make a hard job easier is something that all gardeners should try to do. Throughout the entirety of this video and the previous videos, there'll be links into them in the description, you don't see me stand on the bed, and cannot stress this enough. If you're going to bother to go to all this length to prepare a bed for planting, standing on it is the #1 thing that you don't want to do. Now, I talked to you earlier about the sourcing of plant material. This is a plant called crinum or crinum. I've had it for a few years. I want to give it more sunshine, and I'm going to dig up these bulbs and I'm going to put them into my garden. So here's a plant that cost me nothing. I've already bought it. I divided it previously, and this is a really good way to populate your new border using plant stock that you already have. The planting for this project was done on 3 separate occasions: early planting, mid planting, and then a late planting. The early planting is when you can put in those plants that are tough and hardy and frost-proof that you already have. They can go in late March, maybe even early April. And then I did a mid-April planting and then an early May planting. And that's what you can see me putting in here. These are those tender plants that don't want to frost, and planting at the right time of the year means that you break up the job and there's no risk of the plant being damaged. The more plantings that you do, the more you break up the job, it's less arduous, and you can also do repetitive watering. Getting the ground fully hydrated, having gone to the lengths of all this preparation, is really important. You want it to act as a sponge. Lots of planting, lots of watering, more chance for the soil to become properly hydrated. Now, there are some times when you will go and buy plants from nurseries and garden centres, and if you can do, ground cover and plugs are very affordable, very viable. This is a plant called Ruellia. It's not a ground cover, but I bought these as little juvenile plugs, grew them on for 4 or 5 weeks, and here we are planting them out. So you don't have to have every single plant that you put in the garden cost you $15 each. Some are free because you divide them. Others might be given to you. Some you grow from seed. You could, in fact, sow some seed in place and have an area where you know that the plants are going to grow from seeds, so you'd watch out for them. So don't be put off that this is a very, very expensive project. It need not be. And here we have the final planting. All the plants are in. We're coming up to the warm part of late spring, early summer, and we're going to have this tapestry of texture, colour, fragrance and flower. And with the magic of the internet, here we go. Look at that. So these are those plants that were put in at the right time of the year with really good preparation, and this is what you can expect. You too can do this. In the description, there'll be links to previous videos that go into plant selection, Latin plant names, so you can watch those videos and find the name of the plant should you want to grow it in your own yard. But let's just take a step back as we look at close-ups of these beautiful plants. You could, rather than growing a lot of plants in a greenhouse or in a basement or on a windowsill, you could rely heavily on seed. That's very, very possible. You have to make sure that you know which seed are growing and which ones are weeds to know which ones to pull out. That is the benefit of growing it from plants. You know there's a plant, you know it's going to grow, and you can identify it readily. Seeds, very effective, very cost effective, and where you might go and buy 5 plants with seeds, you could easily end up with 25 plants, but it requires a bit more effort on your part. This particular garden has got no red flowers and it's got no orange flowers. They're quite muted. And what I've done is, to get that billowing effect, I've put colours that are similar but from different plants in the same area. And I think it works really, really well. We have here the chocolate cosmos, Cosmos sanguinea. I grew some from seed and I grew some from tubers. And the ones that are from tubers are much stronger and more reliable. but look at this color, and they do smell of chocolate. And by design, I then planted this next to it. This is Lotus jacobaeus. Different foliage, different flower shape, but a very similar color. This is not difficult. You find a number of plants with the same flower, color, put them together, and you get great interest. And then next to those two, we've got this beautiful scabious, which puts out pom-pom sized flowers of the same color. So when you're walking along and you see this planting, you notice the same color, but you don't necessarily notice that they're different plants unless you look closer. And I think that is the magic of a project like this. Here we have the beautiful white Ceratotheca. This is the South African foxglove, and foxgloves are a late spring, early summer, and they're done. Here we are now in mid to late summer, well, midsummer, and these have got lots more flowering. But these have grown substantially larger than I thought. I was expecting maybe 3 feet, and these are over 4 feet high. Wonderful plant. Down here we've got a little ground cover Ruellia, slow to get going, but now that the heat's kicked in, it's starting to put out its white or pink flowers with lots more flower buds yet to come. Lots of things to consider here. Is this a resounding success? Yes, I think so. Would I do things differently next year? Absolutely. This is the pink Ceratotheca, and you see how much it's grown. It's actually grown out into the road, which is not ideal. So there would be some adjustments based on practicality and evidence that I've learned in this process. But I would encourage you not to strive for perfection. If you have an area and you want to plant it with a mixture of annuals and perennials, and you prepare the ground well and you put in good spacing with a good plant number, you'll be astonished what will come up. And here's a little freebie. This is Datura that I grew years ago, and this is a seed that's been in the soil just waiting to germinate, and it found the spot here with a nice little bit of dry environment around the pink flowering erodium. I did not plant this, and you can be sure that it'll be featured there next year. So that wraps up this series. We've got the videos with links in the description that show the previous steps. This video is all about the end result with substantial growth. Thank you for watching. Have a go. Bye for now.